Hi, my name is Sherman Lau, and I'm the newly appointed director of the Intercultural Ministry Program here at Pacific Life Bible College. One of the things about being born in Malaysia is that we grew up basically with many different cultures. And so, right from the get go, you are basically learning how to get along with your Malay neighbors, our Indian neighbors. And of course, being ethnically Chinese, we obviously have other Chinese folks as well. And so, really, in a way, as a society, we've really enveloped this whole idea of a multi-ethnic, multicultural society. And this wasn't born out of something that happened overnight, but rather it comes from a dark history where unfortunately after colonialism, the country essentially had to figure out what they were going to be and what identity they were going to have as a society. And unfortunately, we went through a really dark period where there was a lot of race wars. Eventually, we came out of that and we managed to come together, and as through that, we developed into, as I said, a multi-ethnic, multicultural society. And so that's just something that's just part of who I am as a person. I'm a multicultural person, and in fact have probably evolved into someone who is more intercultural. And I think this is where it's important to kind of understand the difference between multiculturalism and interculturalism. Multiculturalism, basically, it's a bunch of different people groups that are all living together in a society, essentially. And we're all very accommodating of one another, we're very tolerant of one another, and we coexist with one another. But really, there isn't a lot of interaction. And that's really where intercultural ministry or interculturalism really kind of fits in, because when you're being an intercultural person or you're going into an intercultural ministry, it's about trying to create that space for interrelationship. And you really start to get involved with one another, that you start to develop empathy for the other. And you try to seek commonness, common ground from which we can be able to build something together. And that's really, I think, what intercultural ministry is all about. Traditionally, when intercultural ministry originated, it really was what it was cross-cultural ministry. And so really, it was about going abroad or being in situations where you were crossing into another culture from your original culture. But what we have today in Vancouver isn't so much about cross-cultural as much as it is intercultural ministry that is really required. As I said, multiculturalism allows for us to be able to accommodate one another, tolerate one another, and coexist. But really, I think when we look at Scripture, I think God is asking His people to be more than just accommodating, tolerating, or coexisting, but rather that we're being called as the people of God to be actually the intercultural people of God, which, as I said, involves it incorporates involvement and empathy and commonness. And so that's what this intercultural ministry program is all about. It's about equipping you to be able to go into spaces and places, either here locally in the Lower Mainland, or who knows, maybe God's calling you over to overseas ministry, but that you would be equipped, that you would have the knowledge, and here's a fancy word, you would have the comportment to want to be able to get involved in other people's lives in a very bold but also gracious way, and knowledgeable, obviously, to have this heart of empathy toward the other, and to have the skill set to be able to bridge and build commonness with others around you where there may be division or conflict. So I do hope you will join us at Pacific Life Bible College as we move into this intercultural reality which is really a 21st century reality for all of us today, that we don't just want to be the multicultural people of God, we actually want to be the intercultural people of God.